Welcome. So, today we're jumping into a new tool from Anthropic called Claude Design. And really, it's trying to solve this massive headache that developers and designers have dealt with forever. How do you get an AI to build stuff that actually looks and feels like your brand without having to babysit it every step of the way? So, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll talk about AI's big brand blind spot. Then we'll introduce Anthropic's new solution. We'll get into how it learns your style, how it fits into your workflow, what's running under the hood, and finally, some really important things you need to know before you start playing with it. All right, let's kick things off. To really appreciate what Claude Design is doing, we first have to talk about a point of friction that almost every single product team knows all too well, that design-to-code handoff. I mean, we've all been there, right? You ask an AI coding assistant to make a user interface. It's super fast, which is great, but it has absolutely no clue about your brand's unique vibe. It doesn't know your specific hex code for blue or your obsession with 8-pixel corner radiuses. And this slide just nails it. Over on the left, you've got that functional but totally generic AI output. And on the right, that's your brand's UI with all its specific design tokens, typography, and rules. That massive gap in between, that's where so much time is wasted on endless manual fixes. So keeping that big problem in mind, let's dive into Section 2 and see how Anthropic is trying to fix it with their new designer tool. On April 17th, Anthropic officially launched its first ever dedicated design tool, Claude Design. And its entire reason for existing is to close that brand consistency gap we were just talking about. So what is it exactly? Well, think of it as a system that's built to create visual prototypes that are already compliant with your brand. We're talking mockups, presentations, social media stuff. And the most important part, it does it by automatically learning from the assets you already have. The big promise here is without manual setup. Anthropic made this point very clearly, and it's a really important one for setting expectations. You shouldn't think of this like Midjourney, where you're creating artistic illustrations out of thin air. No, this is much more like a smart, code-aware design tool for people who are actually building products. Okay, so this all sounds great, but how does it actually learn your brand's specific look and feel? Where is this magic coming from? The secret sauce is really this 4-step process you see here. First, it literally scans your code base. Then, it goes and reads your design files. From all of that, it pulls out your style guide, your colors, your fonts, your spacing rules. And then, and only then, does it use that hard-earned knowledge to generate new stuff that's already on brand. It's not guessing, it's learning directly from your source of truth. All right, so let's get practical. What can you actually build with this thing? And more importantly, how does it fit into a real development workflow? The kinds of things you can make are very focused on day-to-day work. You can whip up slide decks for a presentation, you can create some assets for a social media campaign, and here's the big one for developers, you can generate UI mockups for a new app feature. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because this slide shows you the intended pipeline. The idea is you generate your brand-compliant visual mockup in Claude Design. Then, you take that and hand it off to a tool like Claude Code to actually get a working implementation. It's a really clever 2-step process that keeps the visual design separate from the functional code. Of course, a tool like this is only as good as the engine that's powering it. So let's take a quick look at the new foundation model that makes this all tick. Claude Design runs on Opus 4.7, which Anthropic just so happened to release on the very same day. Yeah, that's not a coincidence. These two launches are completely intertwined. And this new model brings some key upgrades that are absolutely critical for design work. Anthropic says it follows instructions more literally, which you need for precise design. It also has a better memory for long, multi-step projects and can handle much larger image files. Okay, so before you get carried away and start planning to redesign your entire app with this thing, we need to do a quick reality check on where the tool is at right now. And to their credit, Anthropic is being super transparent about this. Claude Design is what they're calling a research preview. In plain English, that means expect some bugs, expect some quirks, and know that the features you see today might look very different down the road. And these are the big limitations to keep in mind. First off, it's not Photoshop. You don't get that kind of fine-grained control. And critically, how well it extracts your brand style is 100% tied to how clean and consistent your own code base and design files are. You know the saying, garbage in, garbage out. Access is another thing to think about. It is not on the free plan. If you're a subscriber on the Pro, Max, Team, or Enterprise plans, you'll get it, eventually. They're rolling it out gradually, so even if you're a paying customer, you might not see it right away. So what's the big takeaway here? Tools like Claude Design are going right after one of the oldest, most annoying problems in all of software development, that messy, painful handoff between design and code. And it really leaves you with a huge question. Are we finally getting close to a truly seamless AI-powered workflow that bridges that gap once and for all?